All right, so let's talk about what chords are and why they're important. A chord is any time you pretty much play two or more notes at the same time. So this could be considered a chord, right? That's a chord. This is a chord. Now there's obviously common chords, and then, I mean, you know, like, could we call something like that a chord? Well, yeah, sure, we could call that a chord, but that's not very common, and you can even hear that it's like, you know, kind of a weird sound. It's probably not something you would hear in a song. But this is kind of like that's the kind of stuff that we think of when we are thinking about chords, is sounds like that. All right, so what is that? So here we have a specific kind of chord. This is a three-note chord. We call that a triad. All right, we'll be talking about those more later. All right, if we have just a two-note chord, that would be a dyad. We also have seventh chords, which are four-note chords. In this lesson, we're obviously going to focus mostly on triads, which are three-note chords. Now, we could say, is that a triad? Well, yeah, it kind of is. It's a special kind of triad, right? We're going to focus on the two types of triads that you most definitely need to know. If you don't know these two types of triads, then it's going to be very difficult for you to progress with your piano study, all right? Those two triads are the major triad and the minor triad, and I'll explain all of that later, all right? For right now, we need to understand why chords are important. So if we have a melody like, okay, so here's Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? It's this popular American folk song that kids sing. That right there, when I'm playing that, I am playing the melody. Now, I've referred to this before about the musical triangle. Okay? And the musical triangle starts with melody on top, right? So melody is, of course, extremely important. That's what you end up, you know, going down the street humming and singing is the melody of the song. Other things on that triangle is rhythm. Okay, if I just go, does it sound like Mary Had a Little Lamb anymore? No, because the rhythm, even though the notes are correct, the rhythm is no longer, you know, it's no longer right, all right? So we can have a little bit of flexibility with rhythm, of course. You know, we could like rush it, or we could lay it back. You know, my rhythm was all over the place there when I'm playing that, but you still get the sense of the song because it's close enough. So you get a little bit of forgiveness with rhythm, a little bit. When you're working with other musicians, you really want to make sure that rhythm stuff is solid. This is stuff that we constantly work on as musicians, is getting our rhythm solid. Okay, so melody, rhythm. The other part over here is harmony. Now, there's already harmony that is embedded within within that melody. And the reason I use the air quotes, all right, you know, somebody was asking me about like the air quotes and don't do it. Well, the reason that I do it, all right, is because it's not, it's one of those concepts that it doesn't really bonk you over the head. All right, we don't think of you know, harmony being embedded within that melody. All right, it's kind of like this is why it's one of those things in which I would say that yeah, some people might say it's embedded, some people might not say it's embedded. So I'm going to kind of give you like a quotation on that. That you know what, you know, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Right. The reason I say that the harmony is embedded is because depending on your ear, depending on your knowledge of music, all right, and musical harmony and theory, you can already start to hear, oh, okay, yes, this is what the sound is going to be. Now, if you don't know a lot about theory and harmony, then you might just kind of be like, I don't hear any chords with that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. For right now, I'm going to tell you what the chords are for that simple little piece. Now, typically, right, you will have a song, the melody of a song, the melody will start on a chord tone. A lot of times the root, the fifth, the third, typically, right? That is by all means not always the case, but it is common, right? So here, this is starting on a third of the chord. So we put, and I went to a G7 chord. Don't worry about what those chords are right now. The main thing that you should be cluing into is that, oh, when I play that harmony, and remember, harmony and chords, pretty much the same thing, Okay, so if I say harmony or I say chords, I'm talking about the same thing. When I'm playing this harmony down here, these chords, right, these triads, and that, for anyone who knows, that's actually a 7th chord, even though it's a 3-note chord, okay? We'll talk about that much later, right? Not in this lesson. But there's your triads. So there's your simple little folk song, using the C chord and the G chord, right? So when I'm playing this harmony, these chords, you hear how it now fills out the sound. There's a lot of things that I could do down the left hand, and that's not what this lesson is for, but I could do like, you know, I can keep that steady. I can go, do a Alberti bass. Again, that's not what's important right now. If you're able to get that, great. If you're not able to get it, don't worry. You're not missing out anything on this lesson. Right now, just understand that harmony and chords support our melody. They finish out that musical triangle. So we have melody, we have our rhythm, and then we have our harmony, our chords. Okay? Without the harmony and without those chords, our melody is going to sound pretty empty. Okay? One way of thinking about it is imagine a singer singing a cappella, just singing by themselves, and then imagine them singing along with a band. Now, singing a cappella is beautiful, all right? I'm not, you know, it's a beautiful thing. But one vocalist singing by themselves starts to sound a little thin after a while, doesn't it? Whereas when you have them with the band, now it starts to fill out. Now, take that same example of the a cappella vocalist. Now, what about when they're singing along with, you know, multiple singers? Still no group, but the multiple singers, what they do is they are filling out the harmonies. So it's not just one part, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, right? So now you have 4-part harmony with the singers. The singers, using their voice, are making the chords. So you might have maybe, you know, something like this. The bass is singing here, and maybe your tenor, and then maybe the alto and soprano are doubling that melody up there, or